Dear finance professionals and students, welcome to podcast of FCA Deepak Rao, a practicing chartered accountant. Weekly Digest for week 1 of July 2026. Nifty investors face 2 years of flat returns, mirroring past periods that historically led to significant market recoveries. Data shows that after similar stagnation, 1-year gains range from 5% to 50%. Valuations have become attractive and earnings growth is projected to accelerate. Despite some concerns, the current market setup suggests a potential for strong returns as economic fundamentals improve. Government policies and tax reforms are making Indian equities a more attractive investment compared to other options, according to a JP Morgan report. These changes, coupled with rising investor participation via systematic investment plans or SIPs, are expected to drive sustained inflows into the country's capital markets. Domestic investors are increasingly shifting savings towards financial assets, a trend reinforced by the favorable policy environment. India's Big Four accounting firms Deloitte, PwC and EY have surpassed 1,000 partners each, driven by rapid expansion, especially in technology consulting. This growth strains the traditional partnership model, demanding leaders adept at managing diverse businesses, embracing AI, and navigating constant reinvention. The shift necessitates a focus on innovation and adaptability to secure future success. Strides Pharma Science has divested a majority stake in its subsidiary, Pivot Path, for ₹100 crore to a consortium led by Accent Capital and Vintage Classic. This strategic move aims to accelerate Pivot Path's growth by infusing ₹50 crore for future expansion. Strides will retain a 19.95% stake while the investors will hold 65.05%. The transaction values Pivot Path at ₹230 crore post-money. IT sector company Persistent Systems is looking to acquire Germany-based IT services provider Nagarro. In an exchange filing, Persistent said that it has acquired a 21% stake in the German company through a subsidiary. Additionally, the company will launch a public offer to acquire the remaining shares at €81 per share. Founded in 1996, Nagarro clocked $1 billion in revenue in calendar year 2025. The key industries that the company operates include industrials, consumer, TMT, and BFSI. Leading discount broker Zerodha is planning to foray into the investment banking space to undertake activities such as the initial public offerings and other corporate finance and issue-related services. Zerodha Corporate Advisors Private Limited has filed an application with the market regulator, Securities and Exchange Board of India. The application was submitted in April and is currently under review with the regulator. Satya Agencies, South India's largest consumer durables and electronics focused retail player, has received the Securities and Exchange Board of India's approval to launch its ₹600 crore initial public offering. The offer includes a fresh issue of up to ₹300 crore and an offer for sale of up to ₹300 crore by the promoter selling shareholders. The company has commercial relationships with established electronics and appliance brands and works with over 150 domestic and global original equipment manufacturers and authorized distributors. Moody's Ratings believes India can manage a wider fiscal deficit this year without jeopardizing its investment-grade credit rating. Despite elevated oil prices posing risks, the agency views their impact as temporary and trusts New Delhi's commitment to fiscal consolidation. While high debt servicing remains a concern, Moody's remains confident in India's steady improvement and conservative path. India has removed restrictions on commercial buyers purchasing petrol and diesel from retail outlets effective July 1st. These emergency measures, implemented in June due to Middle East tensions and a price gap, were aimed to ensure equitable supply and prevent hoarding. With global energy trade stabilizing, Commercial users like transport operators can now buy fuel without daily limits, restoring normal access to retail pumps. India is planning a high-frequency index to track its vast informal economy, covering millions of unincorporated companies. The proposed Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation or MOSPI index may appear technical, but it has the potential to reshape everything from monetary policy, GDP estimates, and government planning to corporate decisions and equity investment by bringing into view a part of the economy that has long remained statistically underrepresented. The informal sector employs roughly 80% of India's workers while contributing a little less than 50% to productivity. Yet, it remains a blind spot for lack of tracking. India's banking sector is experiencing significant leadership shifts, with multiple CFOs and senior executives departing private banks and even major institutions like LIC and SBI. This talent churn, driven by regulatory complexities and new opportunities, is creating a domino effect across the industry. Several banks are actively seeking new financial leaders, while some are also preparing for CEO transitions, highlighting a period of considerable flux. Oyo's parent company Prism has filed its IPO papers with SEBI, planning a Rs 6,650 crore fresh issue to repay borrowings. The hospitality giant reported significant revenue and profit growth for the 9 months ending December 2025, driven by international expansion, particularly in the US following the G6 Hospitality acquisition. Prism operates across 43 brands in over 35 countries, aiming to leverage scale and operational efficiencies. Indian air conditioning manufacturers are increasingly attracted to the European market as they respond to rising demand driven by intense heat waves and climate change awareness. Competing against lower-cost Chinese and South Korean brands is challenging, yet Indian companies are poised to comply with strict European regulations. HDFC Bank has appointed Puneet Sharma as its new finance chief, following his resignation from Axis Bank. Sharma, who will officially become CFO on December 1, 2026, brings extensive experience from his previous roles at Tata Capital and Citibank. His departure from Axis Bank, where he served as Group Head and CFO since March 2020, was announced on June 28th. India's economic outlook has improved as falling crude oil prices ease inflation, strengthen the balance of payments, and prompt economists to raise GDP growth forecasts. But the optimism comes with fresh risks, including an uneven monsoon, food inflation, geopolitical tensions in West Asia, and uncertainty over global commodity prices, making the recovery far from assured. Walt Disney Star Group injected Rs 123 crore into JioStar India via FDI, bolstering the Reliance Disney joint venture. This follows substantial prior investments by Disney, totaling Rs 3,847 crore in the current fiscal year. Despite reporting equity losses from the venture, Disney's continued financial commitment highlights its strategic interest in the Indian media landscape. The information and broadcasting sector saw significant FDI inflows during the quarter. India's top IT firms, including TCS and Infosys, have seen their market value plummet by at least 50% from peak levels, erasing nearly Rs 19.28 lakh crore. This brutal correction is fueled by macroeconomic stress in North America and the disruptive potential of generative AI. Analysts warn of further derating as the sector grapples with these structural changes and cautious global economic outlooks. The country's largest hospitality company, Indian Hotels Company or IHCL, will invest Rs 6,000 to 7,500 crore in capital expenditure over the next 5 years as it accelerates expansion under its Accelerate 2030 strategy. A significant part of the investment pipeline includes the upcoming Taj Bandstand Hotel in Mumbai, the group's flagship luxury project being developed near Bandra Fort. Spread across 2 acres, the 50-story 500-room property will involve an investment of around Rs 2,000 crore. Tamil Nadu headquartered Renfra Energy India Limited, an integrated solar and wind energy solutions provider focused on commercial and industrial customers, has filed its draft red herring prospectus with Securities and Exchange Board of India to raise funds through an initial public offering. Incorporated in 2017, Renfra Energy operates in turnkey engineering, procurement and construction, and renewable project execution segment, catering to utility scale and commercial and industrial customers across Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. The Reserve Bank of India's Financial Stability Report for June 2026 has flagged a new and rapidly evolving concern for the Indian banks and non-banking financial companies: cyber attacks powered by artificial intelligence. In a survey of 33 scheduled commercial banks and 10 AAA NBFCs, respondents ranked AI-enabled cyber threats as the single most significant risk they expect to face over the next 12 months, ahead of ransomware, phishing, and even third-party supply chain vulnerabilities. This marks a shift in how India's financial sector views its threat landscape, moving away from traditional attack methods toward a future where AI itself becomes a weapon of choice for bad actors. The Reserve Bank of India has revised the application form and indicative checklist for non-banking financial companies, including housing finance companies, seeking voluntary surrender of their certificate of registration following changes to the regulatory framework for unregistered Type 1 NBFCs. The central bank said NBFCs and housing finance companies intending to surrender their registration should submit the revised application form along with the prescribed documents through its Prava portal. The changes follow the RBI's amendment directions issued on 29 April 2026. Adani Group and Abu Dhabi's international holding company are set to invest a massive $11.5 billion in a new Odisha aluminium plant. This ambitious project, aiming for over 2 million tons annual capacity, could significantly boost India's aluminium production by nearly 50%. Global creditors of IPO-bound Udaan, including banks and hedge funds, have initiated insolvency proceedings in the Singapore High Court after its offshore holding company, Trust Route Internet Private Limited, defaulted on $170 million compulsory convertible notes or bonds due on June 30th. The creditors have hired Alvarez and Marshall as the official liquidator in the bankruptcy proceedings. Corporate sector borrowing from banks is accelerating past individual loans, driven by companies seeking cost savings as corporate bond yields climb. Recent RBI rate cuts have made bank loans more appealing. Analysts anticipate this trend to continue, supported by improved liquidity, though a shift back to debt markets is possible. Small businesses are seeing particularly strong bank credit growth. Zee Entertainment has secured a significant Rs 418 crore foreign investment from OFI Global China Fund LLC, marking the fund's return after a previous exit. This infusion of capital comes as Zee navigates a challenging broadcast environment and strengthens its digital operations. The investment, approved under the FDI route, arrives as the company also plans to raise substantial funds for strategic initiatives and rebuilds its sports broadcasting presence. Tata Communications is significantly boosting its subsea cable network between India and Singapore, investing in new fiber capacity to enhance connectivity for emerging AI hubs. These strategic moves, including integrating a new cable system and joining a consortium for another, aim to support India's booming data center market. The strategic investments come at a time when India's data center market is projected to reach $13.11 billion or Rs 1,08,813 crore by 2034, growing at a CAGR of 10.01% during 2026 to 2034. Mohalla Tech Private Limited, which operates social network Share Chat, short video platform Moj, and subscription-based micro-drama app Quick TV, is seeking to raise as much as $400 million from public market listing planned for next year. The company, commonly known as Share Chat, has become operationally profitable in the first quarter of the year that began April 2026. A key driver of the company's recovery has been micro-dramas, or serialized stories told in episodes as short as 60 seconds that have become one of India's fastest growing forms of digital entertainment. Ananta Capital has acquired a majority stake in hygiene brand Fitco, highlighting investor interest in science-led personal care brands. The deal shows increasing confidence in businesses that focus on ingredient transparency and evidence-based formulations at a time when consumers are paying closer attention to what goes into everyday personal care products. Fitco develops body odor protection products using alum, a naturally occurring mineral that has traditionally been used in India for personal care. The investment also reflects broader shifts across India's beauty and personal care sector. Demand for clean label, ingredient conscious, and dermatologist backed products has accelerated in recent years alongside strong growth in digital first brands. Intense heat waves fueled double-digit sales growth for FMCG, white goods and retailers in the April to June quarter. Companies reported improved operating profits aided by price hikes despite rising input costs. While optimistic about consumption, firms are closely watching inflationary trends and EI90's potential monsoon impact. Summer products saw a significant boost, though some categories faced challenges. State-run oil companies reported a significant loss of Rs 74,781 crore in the April to June quarter due to selling fuel below market rates. Despite a global crude price drop, domestic pump prices remain unchanged as refiners process higher priced crude. A reduction in retail fuel prices may be considered if current crude prices persist, while bulk diesel prices have narrowed the gap with retail rates. Standard Chartered has achieved a world first, processing a cross-border remittance to India in a mere 37 seconds using SWIFT's new retail payments framework. This groundbreaking transaction, facilitated by Westpac, promises faster settlements, transparent fees, and guaranteed received amounts, bringing international money transfers closer to the ease of domestic payments. This development is particularly significant for India, a major remittance recipient, and signals a major shift in global payment experiences. New social security schemes under the Code on Social Security are now in effect, prioritizing digital compliance and faster claim settlements for provident fund, pension, and insurance. EPFO officials face a 12% annual penal interest for delays exceeding 20 days without valid reasons. Contribution structures remain unchanged, with a focus on enhancing online access for members and extending digital requirements to exempted establishments. HDFC Bank is transforming into a tech powerhouse, developing its own AI platform, Neve, and a real-time fraud detection system. These in-house solutions, built by a dedicated engineering team, aim to combat rising banking frauds and enhance customer security. By investing in proprietary technology and engineering talent, the bank is positioning itself for future competition in the evolving financial landscape. Sports retail startup Play Blue has secured $2.7 million in seed funding to launch its omni-channel platform and first flagship stores in Bengaluru, Mumbai, and Delhi NCR. Co-founded by industry veterans, the company aims to capture India's growing sports participation by offering a wide range of brands. Play Blue plans to expand significantly, targeting substantial revenue and a large user community within 5 years. Danish brewer Carlsberg on Thursday said it has confidentially filed draft papers with India's capital markets regulator for a potential initial public offering of its Indian business. Carlsberg is working with Kotak Mahindra Capital and the Indian units of JP Morgan Chase & Co. and Citigroup Inc. on the proposed share sale. Global alcohol companies have increasingly been evaluating ways to unlock value from their Indian operations as they seek to benefit from rising consumption in one of the world's fastest growing major economies. Nestle India is strategically focusing on Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets for growth, anticipating rising consumption in these areas. Despite facing uneven demand and rising commodity costs in financial year 26, the company is investing in rural and semi-urban markets to drive future consumption. Nestle India reported a nearly 15% domestic sales increase driven by volume growth and market share gains as it navigates a dynamic economic landscape. India is targeting a monumental $1 trillion in exports this fiscal year, a significant leap from last year's $863 billion. Union Minister Piyush Goyal revealed the ambitious plan, which requires merchandise exports to surge by 17% to approximately $530 billion, while services exports are projected to grow by 11% to nearly $470 billion. This strategic push aims to bolster the nation's economic standing on the global stage. Manipal Health Enterprises, with the support of Singapore's Temasek, has successfully obtained approval from SEBI for its initial public offering, set to take place in late July or early August. This ambitious hospital chain is targeting one of the largest IPOs in India's healthcare landscape, aiming to raise as much as $1.2 billion despite the current cautious market filled with geopolitical uncertainties and heavy foreign sell-offs. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, or IBBI, has proposed reforms to strengthen the insolvency resolution framework for real estate projects. The proposals are aimed at improving resolution outcomes, ensuring timely completion of stalled projects, and protecting the interests of homebuyers. The proposed reforms seek to address practical challenges in real estate insolvency cases where delays in project completion and uncertainty over possession often affect many allottees. The Central Board of Direct Taxes, or CBDT, in a significant move aimed to strengthen India's aircraft leasing ecosystem with International Financial Services Centers, or IFSCs, has notified that no tax will be deducted at source on lease rent or supplemental lease rent payments made for aircraft leased from eligible IFSC units. The notification issued by the Ministry of Finance on July 3, 2026 provides relief to lessees making payments to aircraft leasing units operating in IFSCs and is expected to further enhance the attractiveness of India as a global aircraft leasing destination. The Peer Review Board, or PRB, of ICAI has taken a major step toward digital transformation by launching a fully integrated online peer review portal. Effective 2nd July 2026, all new Form 1 applications must be submitted exclusively through the portal, replacing physical and email-based submissions. The platform digitizes the complete peer review lifecycle from application submission and reviewer allocation to report filing and certificate issuance, bringing greater transparency, efficiency, and ease of compliance. This is especially significant ahead of the Phase 4 peer review mandate effective 31st December 2026, where a valid peer review certificate will be essential for eligible audit firms. CA firms should familiarize themselves with the portal and complete the process well before the deadline.
This podcast is sponsored by Sound of CA. We share because we care. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.